Hey everyone, welcome to our well webinar this week. I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to come in. Let me invite Sean. So I'm running solo today. Rob is at a wedding in Barcelona and Logan is at our Blue Well group. So it's meeting with some of our larger e-commerce customers. So how's it going, Sean?
Nice. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Doing well. Sorry. Hopefully my internet is. We'll keep up. I'm in a remote cabin in northern Utah, so the Wi-Fi isn't the best, but we'll see what we can do. So if I'm in and out, Sean, I'll be here in spirit.
It's all good. I'm tethering to my phone because I have the same issue, except I'm downtown in a city, so I have no idea why I lost internet.
Oh, interesting. All right, so let's with Sean being here, what we're going to do is actually audit some home pages, some product pages, and dive into this. So maybe just a couple ground rules. If we have audited your website in the past, let's maybe hold off until the end so we can get to people's sites that we haven't done yet. We'd like to have Sean join us. What is it? Every 4 to 6 weeks? Is that about right?
Yeah, we've been trying to get it every month, but yeah, it's more like that for sure.
Okay. So there will be tons of other opportunities. So yeah, feel free to throw in your product pages, your home page. Anything else you want to have them throw in there, Sean?
No, anything that you want me to look at, just feel free. Taylor and Sarah from our team will be in there just sifting through.
Okay.
They said they're just waiting on the registration link. They signed up on the thing, so it'll just be a minute.
Okay.
Is anybody on the call not familiar with audit at all? I'm sure there are people.
Yeah, give a quick introduction.
So audit is kind of we do what we call brand first CRO. So we go into our customers' websites, kind of tear them down, assess the UX, and then we provide design feedback based on that kind of assessment. The goal of it is to help our customers convert higher through design. So a lot of it is based on best practices. A lot of it is based on previous successful tests. It is done very quickly and it is very efficient for a lot of our customers. You can actually try it out free on our site. So anyone that doesn't get to it today, or even people that we do today, you can actually get some of the ideas that I'm going to give you put into design for free if you go to our site, which Taylor and Sarah can help you submit for once they get in. Sorry, I'm just trying to help them get in. They said they're not getting the registration link. How do I just share? Let's see. Copy event link. Taylor, you made it in.
Grab it for you as well.
There, he's in.
Okay, sweet. Perfect. Yeah. Before we jump in, Sean, are there maybe any recent trends that you're seeing as far as conversion rate optimization goes or UX goes that would just be helpful to maybe like set the stage?
Nothing wild that's like something that people haven't seen before necessarily. I think that the one thing that we're consistently seeing is just cutting down on pointless content. I think we're seeing a lot more sites pop up that just are over explaining things more and more. And I think we're also seeing a lot more brands pop up that they've kind of latched into that social, like push social proof is everything. And they're just kind of like any social proof in the history of the company, they're putting it every single, like it almost starts to look like a used car lot, where there's just signage and advertising everywhere. And so I think one of the things that we've been commenting on a lot is just trying to find that balance. Like obviously having a lot of social proof is great, but if you're going to, surface that to users, hit them with one award. Don't show them 15 awards that they have to read and sift through. It's it's not, it is adding value for sure, but you only have their attention for a certain amount of time. So, choose wisely and surface only what's needed, not necessarily everything that you have for social proof.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely a trend I'm seeing as well. What are your thoughts on maybe how you balance brand experience versus conversion rate on a website?
Yeah, I think over time it slowly, there's kind of a spectrum of like, if you're just starting out, brand experience can take a major backseat because conversion optimization is going to be completely based on UX, because you don't have the brand equity where people will just have a bad experience and buy anyway because they trust you or they trust the product or they trust the brand. They don't have that trust built yet. As your brand gains traction, as you gain, I mean, at the end of the day, revenue is what builds brands. But as your brand gets more, I don't want to say household, but as the brand gets more traction, as it gets more brand equity and there's more trust built in the brand, you can start to leverage more of the aesthetic and more of the brand to push conversion, not necessarily tactics or UX things and CRO things that are pushing it. I don't know if that made sense, but basically,
Yeah.
as you grow and become more well known, the standard CRO things can start to take a back seat. We're always talking to customers about, they always bring up best practices, or they, when they do their onboarding form with us, they're talking about, wow, we base this off of this huge brand, right? Here's our like North Star brand that we wish we were. We can't wait to be there. So we based it off them. And for the most part, I tell them to never, ever look at successful brands for UX and CRO stuff, because those brands don't need it as bad as you. And so most of them don't do it at all, right? They just do things that are best for their brand, best for their aesthetic, best for their communication. And a lot of it has nothing to do with conversion because they don't need it, right? When you look at some of the biggest brands in the world and you go on their e-commerce sites, like, there's a reason they don't look like a Shopify template. It's because they don't need to. They have the brand equity to design these ridiculously clean sites that are horrible conversion sites. And if you copy them as a small brand, you're going to be screwed. Your site's going to convert like shit. And yes, their site might convert a little better if they made them much more accessible, but because they have, brands like Zara, Nike, these massive brands, they don't need to use traditional conversion techniques because they have that brand equity where there could be no buttons on the page and someone will still add it to cart somehow. Like, that people will just find a way when they believe in a brand. So we're constantly telling customers, like, do not benchmark your site against big brands because most of them are doing less testing than you are. They're just doing whatever the hell they want.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's great. Great perspective. Yeah, thanks for diving into that. All right. Well, should we dive into some pages?
Yeah, I've got the team on my end just putting in kind of the top to bottom for who submitted, and I just an FYI, as Saunders said, we're filtering out anyone that we've done before. Not filtering out, but just pushing to the bottom just so that new brands can have a chance. So we're gonna start with Snuff Cup, and I'm gonna share my screen here. Sorry, 1 second. Is anyone from Snuff Cup on the call? I think it's Aiden.
Let me see. Yep, looks like Aiden's on here.
Can you see my screen? Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
The website. Aiden, did you want to give any background on it or just let me dive in? Is he typing?
Yep, Aiden's typing.
Just gonna scroll through here.
So he says, feel free to go ahead. I redesigned it with Pagefly, but wanted some feedback if you have any ideas.
Awesome. Okay, so I think the first thing I would say, and this is not knowing a ton about it, but you don't have a ton of products from what I'm seeing. There's the cups, lid, so accessories, there's one product, and then there's bundles, which I'm guessing are just accessories paired with the cup. So the very first thing I would say is remove search completely. It's taking up vertical space that you don't need to be taking up, and it's just another distraction on the site. If you really do still want it and you're finding it something that people are using all the time, just add it up here. A big bulky search bar like this, it's definitely powerful for brands that have a ton of SKUs or even marketplaces, for instance. But in this case, the product offering is too simple for it to be used very frequently. Second thing I would do is I would pull in some small thumbnails here. There's some good diversity in these images that communicate quite a lot. In a lot of these cases, when we tell people to remove these thumbnails, it's when the thumbnails don't add value. So like you'll see a lot of, clothing products, for instance, they'll show the front of the t-shirt and then the thumbnail show basically a 360 camera of 8 shots, circling the t-shirt. It's not super valuable, not worth pushing your ad to cart down. If all of these have great info on them, which they do, right? Like it's got some awesome info about the product, kind of shows the packaging, shows the different sizes, some key traits. Like this is all amazing. You really have to discover them in the gallery. And if you don't see the thumbnails, there's a good chance people won't. I think the one thing I would change about it and I would add in that gallery is all of these images look great, but there isn't a reference for size. So like, I think this is, about the size of a coffee cup, but like, and maybe some people understand 12 versus 16 ounce, but like all of them are just in reference to itself, if that makes sense. So there's even this, like, okay, these are referencing each other, but people don't know what this one looks like or this one looks like in a hand, for instance. So all of these just, I guess this one kind of shows me against sunflower seeds, but show like even here, it's just not giving me a reference of how big it is. So long story short, just take this first image and show it in a hand. So like just a hand coming in around the cup, just so they can see how big or small it is. I hate when this does this. Won't let me scroll on mobile. There we go. Here, I would call out loudly the discount. So we always say at Audit, never make people do math. $30 minus $5 is what? 15%. So just say 15%. In the drop down, I would, obviously this is just a plugin, but if you can customize this, it's always helpful to show the savings for each. So like in here, say 15% off, 15% off. I would test removing this or bump it up here and just move, split it half and half just to save on space. Let's do 2 more things. I would test having whatever the most common. So let's just say that, add to cart and normal checkout is Visa, MasterCard, Amex, whatever. Those are your kind of standard credit card payments. Whichever of the alternate payments are your most common, so PayPal, Amazon Pay here, whichever one is used most, make it test making it a button below the add to cart. So, buy now with Apple Pay or Amazon Pay or whatever. Instead of having it listed here, add it as an actual secondary button. The other thing I don't see here, the scrolling is a nightmare on my laptop. Anything about shipping? Even if it's not free shipping, there's probably a price break if let me just see. No. See, these buttons was what I meant. Something like this, the other part. Anyways, if you don't have a free shipping offer or a free shipping barrier, just show even like how fast it's going to ship right beside the button, or like, ships next day, or will ship within 48 hours. Anything that creates like, oh, they're on it. Even if it's not perfectly accurate, as long as it's, a good average of how fast they're going out or something like that. Anything that just helps them, convince them, and pushes them over that line can be helpful. Okay.
It's amazing.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for sharing, Aiden.
Yeah, good insight there, Sean. The only thing I would add that I think could be helpful, I think a lot of times we assume as marketers that people are coming from paid ads or other channels where we're explaining. I think showing some visual, I think it's pretty cool with like the liners and the snuff cup. I can, assume how it works, but even if you showed how easy it is to put, the liner in the cup, and through a little animation that maybe then has like, some tar or something that goes into the cup, just to really show the ease of use, the cleanliness, things like that. So
100%.
I think just any feature highlights like that, I think could be very powerful.
Yep, agreed.
Sweet.
Okay, we're gonna move on to Mugsy Jeans. Everyone can see that site?
Yep.
Is anyone from Mugsy on the call that wants to give any background? Michael,
Looks
do you
like
want to?
Michael. Yep.
Just gonna scroll through here.
So he said, developed our site last year in a new way. Interested to hear how to improve. Lots of SKUs.
So the first thing I'll say is, if you have lots of SKUs, one of the best ways to help onboard new customers is pushing bestsellers. So right here, you have it as a second tab. Tabs are kind of hard to find, and it's not totally clear that it's for the products below, but it's there, which is great. I would test just having bestsellers above here, even if you're just showing like this, like 4 at a time. When you have a lot of SKUs, you don't want new customers coming in and just kind of having an overload. Just surface, like, I'm sure there's 3 or 4 products that you're constantly seeing succeed on socials, in ads, whatever, like the products that you became famous for or known for. Just surface those. It's likely that new customers are looking for or like the same, gonna like the same products. We see bestsellers always convert a little bit better. We see bestsellers, just the more that you surface them, the more they sell better. So I would just start with that, have that as like the first section up here before you push them into these categories. And I would have it separate from here, right? Like, you've got jeans, top shorts, chinos here. There's no reason to have them tab down here as well. So I would just have a bestsellers only section right here, show your categories, and then have a new arrival section below it. So there's no tab at all here. Whoops, sorry. This is an interesting one. So in the copywriting here, I would definitely test showing a percentage. $60 can sound great. However, you're assuming that they know the total price, right? And when you're trying to communicate value in a bundle, like saving $60 on 180 is great. Like, that's 30%, right? Saving $60 on 1,000 is nothing, right? It's 6 or whatever. It's next to nothing. So I think I would test different headlines here that say save up to 30% when you bundle. And I would also test having it up here. There's a lot of headings up here, and it gets a little crammed, like they're all kind of blending together. So 2 things I would do up here is just reduce the font size a bit. Let's see what it is right now. Like, just move it to 16. Let's just see how that looks. Didn't work. Change it to 16. Try that. And then I would, instead of saying bundle and save, see if you can put in a little tag here that says save 30%. So like, you want that to pop off the page. You want to push people to bundles. panels because obviously it's higher AOV. Let's open a product page. Excuse me. Okay, so these images are great. And this is kind of what I was saying, like where thumbnails aren't necessarily needed. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. The thumbnails aren't really needed because we're just showing different angles of the product. So you can kind of just let them explore through. I would, however, show some more UGC or kind of lifestyle photography rather than just studio. I think that can be really helpful. I would also test, like all of these are on a white background. All of these could easily have white space added to make them a square versus a tall rectangle, which can help bring key actions up the page. These fits. Whoops. Just gonna go back here. So Mugsy fit, casual fit, boot cut. So I would say most customers probably know if they like skinny jeans or casual or boot cut. Those are pretty common. Mugsy fit is not common. No one knows what the hell that is. So you need to have some sort of pop-up or information that is going to help tell them what exactly those fits are. Sorry, Sandra, I'm going to grab some water and keep coughing.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I think to that point, I don't know, Michael, if you have over Mugsy Fit, does it give you any more information? Okay, got it. Yeah, so I think that's probably, you know, something maybe you could put a little like question box next to each of those. So when you do select Mugsy Fit, you can hover over it and then it gives you some more information. So that way, yeah, it's telling you there's more information on that. Okay, perfect. Start with that fit, had recently introduced more fits. Yeah. So I think that way, you know, you could give a little explanation. You could say, you know, maybe even go a little bit deeper in the types of customers that potentially buy those fits. So I think, yeah, that's a perfect call out from Sean. You good, Sean?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
All good.
I think the main thing here is I'm sure that all these pages somewhere in here give a really great description of what the fit is. The issue with that is you're forcing the user to access 3 different pages to define which one is best for them. The more pages you're sending customers to convert one product sale, the lower your conversion is going. So you want to surface all relevant information in the most tasteful way possible. This is actually a really great opportunity to add it in the gallery even. So like the 5th image here could just show, you know, a vector drawing or a real pair of Mugsy fit in that color, casual fit in that color, boot fit in that color, and just say like this fit would be comparable to X, or this fit is this compared to casual. This fit is this compared to mug. Like just give them exactly the most descriptive, straightforward way of explaining these fits, or show the same model. You know, show the exact same person wearing all 3 fits in the same color, so that the only difference in the images is the fit, and they can just define which one is best for them, right? Sometimes the easiest way to explain something is to not explain it and just show it, right? The second that you try and complicate it, everyone's definition of casual is different, right? Some people, and especially with fashion these days, like I have pants that are this wide and I have pants that are this wide. Like all of them could be in some ways a boot cut, for instance. So I think showing it sometimes is the best way to do it, so that people don't be like, oh, I'm not a boot cut guy, but maybe in Mugsy they are. So sorry, that's a lot of explanation regarding fit, but I think it's really important in this case, so that's why I'm focusing on it. I like this, but let's put it below. I don't think it needs to be up there. You could probably reduce that font size a lot, get it on one line, and then put it below that button. What's my size? This also could take up less space. You could probably put it fit it up here, like smaller. Bundles and save. Okay, so that's a link, which is an issue. So anytime that you have, let's just pick our size here. Okay, so I can add this to cart. Now you've got to imagine someone is reaching from the bottom of their phone, because they're holding their phone from the bottom. They're holding up and they're reaching up with their thumbs to hit that add to cart button. This looks like a title that's just saying, hey, don't forget, like if you shop in bundles, you can save. It does not look like a link. It's styled the same as headlines. And so the odds of it being a clickable link is low, in my opinion. It shouldn't be there in general, because every time someone reaches for that add to cart, there's a really good chance that they accidentally hit that button. Accidental clicks are like death to conversion. Again, you're pushing them to pages that they weren't intending to go, or extra steps in the process that they didn't need. So now you've got, they go to click add to cart, they hit this, they end up on the wrong page. They're either frustrated and leave, or they got to go back and start the process again. Both scenarios aren't great for conversion. So long-winded way of saying, remove this completely, or make it a headline and show bundles right there, right? Like you've got these, the Fulton Mugsy fit, have it as a headline, make it a bundle and save, and then just surface 2 bundles that include jeans. And if they want to then go look at that 3-pack or whatever it is, they can, but it's, again, we're communicating as clear as possible. And always make sure links look like links, right? Like what's my size right there above it is plain text and it's underlined. It's very clearly a link. This is plain text as well without an underline, but it's a link too. Okay. I hope that was helpful, Michael.
Yeah, that was awesome. Good job, Sean. One thing I would add that you see this a lot with subscription businesses, but they allow you to add to cart. And then the cool thing that they do is they upsell you in the cart. I think that could be a cool way to maybe incorporate the bundle and allow them to bundle with whatever product they just purchased. And then you could also give recommendations of what people most likely bundle with. And so, yeah, I think to Sean's point, completely removing it here, that could be a good like user experience that also increases your AOV.
Mm-hmm. I think this is a lot of extra work, but one thing I've seen brands do is like when you're helping them identify which fit is good for them, it can be as simple as like an actual just chart that says, which brands you're used to wearing, and you just kind of find which one you're used to wearing, and then it kind of goes over and shows which one's good for you. That's a lot of work on your end for the Mugsy brand, but can be very helpful. Okay, we are going to go to custom envy phone cases. Sorry, we normally get through more of these. I'm going to try and go a little faster. Okay. Is anybody from custom envy on the call?
Yeah, looks like Matt's in here.
Okay, Matt, I'm just going to jump in if that's okay. I think I can play with this. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm sure all your traffic is mobile, so I'm just going to go off here. Okay, so a few things right off the bat. First thing is, I love that it's custom. I think you should probably be more clear that it's custom from the imagery standpoint. I know you probably think that's really clear, but like for instance, is there like a rubber piece here that you customize? Like, is it just the image? Second thing is, this is positioned like social proof, but it's kind of like if a tree falls in the forest, anyone hear it? Like, it doesn't make a noise. Sorry. It feels false because you're not saying who it's from. Is it from GQ magazine? Is it from your mom? Is it from an actual reviewer? It loses all of its merit when it's in quote. It just feels like it's from you, right? And if it's your team saying it's the best custom phone case, that's great. It's a great like headline, but it just doesn't have as much impact as you think it might. So long story short, tell us who it's from, or and say if they're a real customer or whatever, or just remove the quotations. I don't know what this location. Okay, so I would remove all of this. This is way too much accessibility. I would remove the spinning. I would just show this image at that angle or a similar angle. If you want to communicate all those different customization features, you know, reduce the size of this image and just clearly outline them, like custom buttons, custom printing, whatever, like outline the key traits. Do not make them hidden. Like this, it's, you're asking someone to make one, first they have to discover that, and then you're asking them to make 5 more clicks. So like, you only have so many clicks from the user. Forcing them to use 6 clicks just to understand what you make it's absolutely crushing your conversion. The other thing to consider with this functionality, which is probably slowing your site down a lot, is that half the time that it's spinning, they're seeing a blank cell phone. So half the time that their image is there, they're not actually seeing your product, they're seeing a blank cell phone. This is great. Love this. Button looks great. These look great. I would just, this social proof should be pulled up with this headline, delete the spinning function, delete the ability to grab and spin it, delete all of these, delete this. And if anything, just list all these things that you're, all these things that you're pointing out here, just put them out here. That's it. These all look great. Social proof looks great. That's super cool product. I think the main thing is just that I'm getting at is I think you're overcomplicating how hard it is to sell. That same functionality you have, the spinning with the dots, like that's something you could use down here on the product page. Oh, there you go, you do. So this is the right place for it. It should not be on the homepage header. Let's see. I'm guessing this is pushing me to the gallery. Can't tell. Yes. So it pushed me to the gallery when I clicked that, but it didn't push me to the right image. So it's not, that's probably really affecting conversion if that's how it works on an actual mobile device as well. That needs to trigger the image in the gallery and scroll them up to it. If it doesn't, that's fine. Just make it a pop-up. So when I click that, it has a nice little pop-up, comes on the screen, takes over. There's no distractions, just shows the different case sizes, or sorry, case types. What happens when I hit this? Very cool. Super cool. So I'm just going to look one thing, phone type. Other than that, everything looks really great. Like I think the product itself is really simple. The customization is really complex, and that's so I get why you're using that, you know, this section here. But again, I think I would just simplify it on the homepage just to get users to the product page faster.
Great insight. Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you said.
Okay, we're gonna do, I feel like I've done that site. Sorry if I just skipped you because I think I've done it, but TB4A. All right, let's take a look. Anyone from TB4A?
I'm looking through the attendees. Oh, someone just chatted. Was that them?
Online community for accountants and business professionals. Nice. Okay, thanks, Matt. Merch for business professionals. Okay, let's look on mobile. Okay, so first things first. You always want elements to be separated so I can kind of see everything is an image. And so like that whole section is clickable versus it being segmented pieces of CSS. I think it's definitely like a big button, but it's not clear that it's a button, even though it says shop now. I also think you probably have a ton of products, would be my guess. Yeah, 578. So leading off by just saying like shop now can be very not confusing, but it's not going to drive as much action as being specific. So like maybe even though you have 578 products, you want them to explore the catalog, maybe you're surfacing bestsellers instead. Maybe you're surfacing new arrivals. Maybe you're surfacing, something that's very relevant and in recently in the news, like something to do with Silicon Valley, whatever. Anything that can help just push them down the funnel further in a specific direction versus necessarily leading off with like, hey, go flip through the catalog of 600 things. That can be pretty overwhelming. This is probably a case where search is probably more valuable, unlike the first site we looked at. So maybe search is up here alone. I would remove account and put it in here. Just let search kind of stand out here. This. I work hard so my cat can have nice things. Okay, so this section is fine. I don't know why Shopify always does this. I'm guessing it's on Shopify. Whenever you're making sections like this, at least on mobile, like we can go out this way. Like I get it's over here, but when they do the mobile adaptation, that button should be at the bottom. So corporate jargon tells them what they're shopping. Let them shop through these things. If they don't find one they want, have the shop all of that corporate jargon collection. It's like the weird order of operations for me where you're trying to surface the best of these or the best selling, I'm guessing, of this category so that maybe they don't go explore and have to sift through all 22 in this case. So like, let's surface those first and then hit them with the, okay, you can't find what you like. None of these, resonate with you, then hit the shop all button. Also make this full width if possible. Trending t-shirt. Chart. So this looks great. I'm just going to make a few notes here. So this is in no offense to the TB4A brand, but I'm guessing these aren't like $150 world-class, amazing t-shirts, right? They're probably pretty simple, standard, run-of-the-mill t-shirts that you're printing on based on the price point. I wouldn't get too deep into the materials necessarily. I would get them to the add to cart as fast as possible. So maybe this is below, right? Like unisex t-shirt, I mean, let them decide. Solid colors, I mean, they can pick the colors here. It's pointless to have that. Tri-blend colors and heather colors. Like if you want to break down the composition, just do it down here. Just have a little section that says more info and show it there if they need it. This secondary type, you never say content twice. So your headline for the product is SVB Silicon Valley Bank Risk Management Tee. Very long title, likely for SEO purposes, but you don't need it twice. So just delete that. Basically, the first thing I see here should be all of this should be gone. Delete, just hit the delete button on all that. Add your size chart link here to save space. Add the material down here, and you'll save probably half this section so you can get it all in one view on a mobile device. The other thing I would say is these can be really great. Like we mentioned on the last product, having that secondary pay option is awesome. In certain cases, you start to see where they just look the same, right? Like in this case, your brand color for add to cart is a very similar black. And so they both kind of lose their luster. You have to find ways to differentiate these, or make one look primary, one look secondary, or just make them look different. So in this case, you know, your whole brand is black and white, so it can be difficult, but you know, maybe this is a stroked button, maybe this is just a different color. Just, it's something to play with. I think you'll see more action on that add to cart if it's different looking than the buy with Google Pay. Let's look at the product page. Okay, so this is an interesting one. So all these images do a great job of showing the colors, but your color selector does a bad job of it. So even just like, most of these people kind of get what color that'll be, but if you were able to show a color swatch, like a little circle of the color in here, you know, there's 1,000 different versions of orange, burnt orange, you know, there's so many different oranges, purples, all these different things where you're kind of forcing them to click through each of these to understand what dark green it is, what red it is, you know, is it MAGA red, or is it, you know, a different red? So it can be, as much as these are helpful, it can be really helpful to have actual color swatches here, so they're not clicking through 15 colors to define which one's best for them. This also feels very much like a brand and product that you would buy in bulk for like certain groups or companies. But I don't see a ton of info around like bundling or oh, there you go. There's bulk orders. So it could be a good option in here to just say, like, you know, looking for more than 5, click here, and then it takes them to that bulk order form, or some sort of simpler bulk order option, rather than assuming they're going to find it up here. All right. I hope that was helpful, Matt. I'm gonna hop on to the next one.
I love Sean when you say to just delete sections.
Yeah, it's the traditional CRO people will just kill me for saying, yeah, just go delete that. But I think in some cases, especially when it's double info, you're safe. If it's something you've said twice, you're safe to delete it.
Love it.
Okay, we're gonna go to hit run steal. I'm interested to see what this is. Oh, nice. I was not gonna guess baseball. Okay, similar comment to the last site. Sorry, is it Tyler? Tyler, are you typing? I'm guessing this is your site. Similar to the last site, very first thing I see is this. So you have an action you want them to take. This is one big image, right? Like, it won't let me do it, but it's kind of these animated figures coming in. This looks the same as the button almost. Like, nothing is standing out. Everything's standing out. Sorry, nothing is standing out because everything's standing out. So I would just make this as clear as possible. Even the sizing, like 7x7 hitting that, you're assuming that people can visualize 7x7 even. So I would just have it a little more simple, to be honest with you. I would just say what you make, say why it's great, give them a clear action, make sure the action looks different than everything else in here, right? Everything on this entire section is red. The button shouldn't be red. The button should look different than all of it. This product is extremely visual. You're having the visual automated come off and on the page. Don't just have it there. The animation is killing your conversion. If anything, it should just be a rotating GIF of this kid hitting that ball into the net and just showing the result. Like, this is a great image of it. If you had that image style with someone hitting in front of it and showing how it's being used, I think you'd be really powerful up there. And I'm sure you have stuff like that on the site. I just haven't scrolled yet. Lots of great reviews like this. Not this whole video, but some sort of like really great looping GIF of, whoops, sorry, of that video. Okay, let's go to the net. See, that's great. Updates based on that. Images are great. Okay, so one thing that I think would be really powerful here, I wonder if they still do it. Sorry, I'm taking a little field trip here.
Spot some Olukai flip-flops.
Nice. Okay. So this is really powerful, mostly for their product because the back flips down and it's not necessarily clear if you're not familiar with the brand, which it used to show the back flipping down, but apparently it's just some guy walking. But the point I'm trying to get across is that the product is very, it's just a lot easier to communicate through a video or a looping GIF like this, right? They do a really good job of keeping it simple, keeping it high res, doesn't feel distracting, right? It's simple background. What would be really great here is the ability to not necessarily always have a looping GIF here, but just a button like that sits over top of the gallery, which I think these guys do, and I hope they do, so it can help me prove my point. No, they don't. So over top of the gallery, just have a button here that says see it in action or watch it work. You know what I mean? With a little play button. And so no matter where they are in the gallery, that button is still there and it will just take them right to the video in this gallery, which there isn't right now, but you should have one. And then again, it can just be that video from the homepage that we were talking about. It's just like some kid hitting it, showing the result. You know, there's so many different types of these nets out there. Is it hitting it back to them? Is it just catching it? It's not super clear. And I'm sure, again, if I read the whole site, I'll figure it out. But that's not the point. You want people to convert faster because that means higher conversion, which means you need to communicate more clearly. And there's definitely people that are going to dive in, read everything about it, pick the right size, pick all this shit that you have variants here. But there's people who just want to understand what it is quickly so that they can make a call. So yeah, I think that would be huge for this product in particular. Love this little customer review up here. Something to test here. You call out the savings for each of these variants, but not the price change. So the strike zone is $20 extra. I would test showing price on here because you're showing how much they save when they do these things, but then you're forcing them to click through each of them to decide and see what price is. And the bigger issue there, okay, on mobile, you do update it. So on desktop, at least, they're clicking this, and if they click this, they got to scroll down, see price. Click this, scroll down, see price. Again, you're just sucking up their time. And when it comes to conversion, people's time is everything. Okay, we're gonna do one more here.
Well, while you're pulling that up, the one thing I might add to that, since there's so many different selections, is maybe a highlight around most popular. And so that way it makes the decision a lot easier for people. So most people do the most expensive one as the most popular, but you could probably switch it up between sections or just do what actual truth is behind it.
Yep. All right. Sorry we didn't get through as many as I wanted to, but we're going to end on Ticino. Anybody from Ticino on the call?
Looks like Jorge's here.
So many submissions. Okay. Samples. I love the sample packs as an entry point. Tear it down. All right, Justin. I love the sample packs as an entry point. I think the main thing I'm going to stay here, I'm sure everyone's going to guess it. Let me just check on mobile. Is they just clicked on shopping samplers. They just saw the homepage image, right? They see this beautiful image of all these samplers. Whoa. We'll talk about that next. They just saw this beautiful image, shop samplers. They go to shop samplers. You can definitely verify with the user and give them feedback of they landed where they thought they were going to land. So what I mean by that is you clicked on a shop now button to shop samplers. They ended up on the sampler collection page. Great. You don't need to say all the same shit again. Delete the image. Don't say shop samplers because that's what you just said. So it feels like a button again. Just say Ticino sample packs or sample packs. Delete this. You just said that. Basically, this plus Ticino samples is all they should see when they land here. All this other stuff is not needed. These should, I would test showing these in rows of 2. These are very large product cards, so I only see one at a time. I would test removing all of this, including the add to cart, and pushing them to the product page. Yeah, I think all of that is going to help you get click-throughs to the product page, which we generally see higher conversion on. This is the bigger issue though. So carousels, not great for conversion in general, but if you are going to have them, there's 2 pretty big rules that you don't want to break. First is don't make it automatic. You're making a big assumption of how long someone takes to read this, digest this, understand this. You do not want it to be automatic. Second thing you really don't want is for it to be different sizes. So let's just say that someone, they're looking at this one, looking at samples, they're just about to hit shop now, and then it just automates over. And not only is it a different button, but the button is now halfway up the page. It's frustrating. It's a bad UX. And it's likely just crushing your site speed, I'm guessing, just looking at it. So long story short, if these second ones are super important, I would just find ways to put them into the page in their own sections. I would delete this carousel completely and just surface, what is the primary thing you're trying to push? Cater to your primary audience that you want to sell, not everyone, right? That's what the rest of your site can do, or when they scroll down, they can do that. One last thing on this header section, rather than saying shop now, one way we always approach button labels is, it's kind of like when you're learning to write sentences in school, always assume they didn't, read the sentence before. So if you're writing a button label, what would it be if the user had not read the subheading or the heading, right? Even here, if I read just the headline, this shop now button makes no sense. And what I mean by that is it doesn't tell me where I'm going. If I read this, I'll understand that I'm going to shop samplers, but many users probably aren't reading that sentence. So you need to you need to write the button label as if they didn't. Very simple, shop Ticino samplers, or shop sample blends, shop sample packs, shop, get started with samples. Anything that's just more clear about exactly where they're going. Because again, you just don't assume that they're reading that. They likely aren't. 6 minutes left. Do we want to leave a couple minutes at the end, Sonder, just for people to ask questions?
Yeah, let's do that.
Or maybe rip me apart. I'm sure there's people that everyone's just on mute.
Everyone, let's have them shit on your ideas. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, we have a question box that you can add them to. So feel free to throw them in there.
Okay, one last thing here before we take some questions. Might just be me not reading well enough, but I assumed, because of the name, that these were all teas. I'm not sure if I was the only one, but I did not realize this was coffee. So there is tea, but there's coffee as well. So I think that's a really, and maybe the ads that are pushing here are communicating that, but it might be really smart to say that try our samples of teas and coffees. And I apologize if you're a household brand and I just didn't know that, but if I didn't know, it's likely that certain users are confused by that or didn't realize. So I look up here, I see the name, I'm like, oh, it's probably packs of tea. They look like individual packs of tea. Then I scroll down and I see a bag of coffee. I'm instantly not confused, but caught off guard. So something to consider there.
Love it.
Taylor, I
So
saw
much
your
value.
comment. Jerk. Does anyone want to hop off mute and ask anything, or there? Oh,
Looks like
can't.
we got some questions that came in. So what are your thoughts on having add-on bundles on your cart page? Does it lower conversions too much or good for increased AOV?
I think that let me stop screen sharing here. I think that it can go both ways. I wish I had the perfect answer for you and the kind of silver bullet, but I think there's a few factors that play into that. One is, how is it built? So is it a plugin? Is it a well-built plugin? Is it custom? It can have an adverse effect because if it's built poorly or implemented poorly, it can have effect on site speed, which is usually more important than anything else. That said, if it's built properly and it's surfaced properly and the bundles are relevant, I think it can be really powerful. So like what Sandra was saying with the, I apologize, I don't remember the brand name, but the Mugsy. So like if I'm shopping a golf shirt, for instance, and we know that there's these amazing socks and amazing pants that everyone buys together, and that's the bundle I want, I think it can be really powerful to surface those as an option. I think the key is making sure that you make it almost as simple as possible. So having them, I wouldn't overwhelm them with too many bundles, like either surface, like, put this in a bundle and save 30%, take them to the bundles page, or just surface one bundle, right? Like, hey, 30% of users buy this with these pants, like go shop the bundle. But I would definitely don't just surface 10 different options for bundles they could get. I think push them to the collections page if that's the case.
Love it.
Yvette, if you didn't get in today, Taylor, can you hop in the questions channel? Just answer. If you didn't get in, Yvette, you can submit for a free trial on our site. Do you see the questions, Tay? Where are you? And there is a discount code for people on this call. It's Big Whale 10. I'll put it in the questions channel as well. And yes, Yvette, if you want to work with us on a full report, you can absolutely do that. You can book a call on our site or just purchase on site.
Just threw Aiden's question up here. So for your product landing pages, would you do a complete redesign or just change test one variable at once? Any software for split testing you recommend?
For product landing pages, it depends. If you're testing two pages against each other, then it's okay for them to be completely different. If you're just saying, I don't like my page, I'm going to build a new one, I don't find that super effective. I think it's important to know what's working about it and what's not. If you have a shitty AOV, it's likely that not everything about the page is not working. There's probably pieces that are doing really well for you. So I'm very much an advocate of just change and test one thing at a time, or a couple small things at a time. In terms of software for split testing, we have a lot of great split testing partners, which if you book a call on our site, we can connect you with any and all of them. Doing it yourself it can be difficult depending how your site is built. Part of something that we're launching next month with Replo is audit landing pages. So we're actually going to be building landing pages from scratch in collaboration with Replo. And part of that will come with a testing toolkit to help brands kind of implement and make small tests themselves and educate a little bit rather than trying to hire a CRO firm every time they need to make a change.
Perfect.
We are over
do one
time.
more?
Drew, what do you got here? What are things that can do to boost our conversion rate? We are at high AOV and we don't see our conversion rate go home. I'd love to take a closer look, Drew. Go submit one of the landing pages for a free trial on our site. I'll send you back kind of a small design snippet of something we would change. It's hard to answer that without seeing it, knowing what the product is. I will say though, like low conversion rates on high AOV products is not uncommon. I think that the one thing to consider is it sometimes won't be the site, right? Like a lot of times the reason for a low conversion is bad ads or bad traffic, or you know what I mean? If it's not as simple as just like, oh, 100 people come to my site and 0.5 buy. Maybe the 100 people coming to your site, 20 of them are bots, or like if the traffic is bad, there's no helping a conversion rate. There's nothing you can change about your site that's going to convert higher. So in a sense, in situations where it's that low, I would start looking at the entire ecosystem and what might else not be working very well.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you, Sean. As always, the master, the conversion rate goat. So if you guys, we've got the coupon code here for BigWell10. You can also, there's a Calendly link as well in the chat. So feel free to grab a time, submit the form on the website. And like we said at the beginning, Sean joins us monthly to go through this. So don't give up. If we didn't go over your site, there's a chance for next month that we'll get there as well. So thanks everyone. Sean, any last thoughts?
No, yeah, just if anyone didn't get one, just please go to that link, or just go on our site and hit the get started free button. There's no strings attached. You don't have to put in your credit card. There's no bullshit. You just put in the URL. 48 hours later, you get back a free piece of design advice. So yeah, please, anyone that we didn't get to your site, or if we did, just submit. It's free.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, thanks everyone, and we'll catch you next Wednesday.
Thanks everyone, appreciate it.